Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football 5 YouTube channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect once again. Today I sit here with some special guests on the channel, and as you can see we are in a different location this time around at the Vibe Zone Storage Studios in Mlenga. So I'll let my guests from the immediate left introduce themselves and we'll have the show.
I'm Mildred Chelsea. Thank you for having us here on Football Tribe UG. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, I'm Temperature Adventures at Temperature Adventures TikTok, Temperature Adventures X, Instagram.
I was out there searching for people that are most knowledgeable about the beautiful game of football, and popped up one lady on my radar and one gentleman who is known to many, but to so few of you that are regulars on this channel. So for starters, I think there's one interesting place for us to start, and that's in the Premier League. Obviously, Arsenal, the reigning champions, they've made their news, so we'll not give them much attention because they've already taken theirs already. So we'll turn our focus on the new managerial changes that have happened within the big six, as we know them. At Tottenham Hotspur, we have Roberto Di Zerbi, we have Xabi Alonso at Chelsea, we have Andoni Iraola at Liverpool, we have Michael Adrian Carrick at Manchester United, and then obviously Enzo Maresca is switching allegiances to Manchester City. So we're going to be digging deep into those ones. I'll start with Mildred. She'll be talking about Xabi Alonso, since she's a Chelsea fan, and by extension, she'll give us a word or two about Michael Carrick at Manchester United. Okay. So where do you see Xabi Alonso at Chelsea next season?
First of all, we are happy to have him at Chelsea, being it is a good manager with the history at Bayer Leverkusen, and from Bayer Leverkusen to Real Madrid. I think as a football player, being a good midfielder, with the project we are having at Chelsea, I think is a good coach for Chelsea right now, according to the problems which have been going on the club and what we wanted for the club. I think it was a good spot to Chelsea.
Okay. He's already made some two signings thus far, I think, in Marco Palestra, but of course some signings that were made previously that will be joining him, including the likes of Giovanni Quenda, who is coming in from Sporting Lisbon. And then of course there's Paco Valentino, and then there's of course Emmanuel Mega coming in from Strasbourg, and then obviously he has some clearing to do. So in terms of shaping up the Chelsea squad, who do you think are some of the bad apples or players that are not good enough that he needs to sell off and replace?
Okay. I think I will start with the injury problems we have on the team. And number one, Nemo Lavia. I think we don't need him at the team. We have these wingers which are not doing good at the team, the likes of Jamie Gittins. We have on our striking line, we have the Liam Delap. We have going to the back line, we have Tosin, we have Badiashile. I think we don't need them on the club.
Including the likes of Axel Disasi, who are out of them.
Yes.
So, anyways, before we switch away from Chelsea, I want Temperature to add a voice, even though he's not a Chelsea fan.
Thank you very much. Personally, I think to the journey, or the career journey of Xabi Alonso, Madrid has actually given us a hint and a brief about his career from Bayer Leverkusen, where he won, and he came to Real Madrid. I think his firing wasn't so satisfying for the negative result he might have had, but he actually had a plus. When you look at him, by the time he was fired, he had lost only 2 games. And actually, in that very period of time, Barcelona had also lost 2 games in that same sense. So personally, I think he's a good coach. But my worry is, we all know where Chelsea is coming from, particularly last season. They've had an administration that had a lot of issues. So I think him being good, and he bumps into a bad administration that might actually make his coaching work a bad one. Unless otherwise, we have Igibali and Todibole, having him as a manager I think they should actually line on like envelopes. They give him the managerial role.
Let them leave the issues of the
Yeah,
game.
definitely, because I feel like they are doing so many non-football stuff at Chelsea, but actually hindering the coaching job at Chelsea. So I believe he's one, but then again, how they are selling players, I don't think he's the one who is actually sweeping out all the players at Chelsea. But I think management, in one of their objectives, is actually to make money out of the players. So I'm afraid that he might not perform at Chelsea. If he's given a chance and he's acting as a manager at the club, I feel and I guess he can do better. But without that, and he's just a head coach, fire.
Just to probe it a little further, it almost sounds inconceivable that Chelsea went from being world champions, beating PSG in that final over from the USA by 3-0, into finishing, 10th on the league table. Yet at some point, when Enzo Maresca was still around, we almost sold ourselves to the idea that we were potential title contenders. So, Mildred, as you see Chelsea, where do you see them finish as the bare minimum next season? What do you think should be taken as some level of success in terms of the Premier League table finish, where Xabi Alonso should take Chelsea from 10th?
First of all, this goes to Chelsea fans as well. We should lower our expectations, because right now we know what is going on in Chelsea. We are trying to rebuild, and you know how long it takes to rebuild a team. We have seen the likes of Arsenal 5 to 4 seasons trying to rebuild. So as a fan, I should tell my fellow fans to lower their expectations and let Xabi Alonso do his work. You understand? So because right now, if you are in rebuilding a team, you need to take off one of your players. You can see right now our key players are going away from the team. The likes of Marco Clela, Enzo Fernandez wants to go. So Xabi Alonso, we need to give him time to see how he's going to use these young boys on the team right now. So we should also watch him and see how he's entering the market, how he's going to loan some players, how he's going to do his transfers. From there, we shall see how he's going to do.
Okay. Mildred is deliberately failing or refusing to commit to a particular position. She sees
I'll not. I'll not.
She's already telling the fans to lower their expectations.
Yes.
So I'll put this to temperature. In the overview sense, you've given us a snapshot of how you look at Xabi Alonso. But what do you think should be the bare minimum for him for what should be termed as a fairly successful season for a club like Chelsea?
Yeah, I also believe as a person, Chelsea fans shouldn't actually raise their hopes and expectations so high. The relationship might fail with Xabi Alonso. Personally, I think big teams, most especially the orthodox 4 big teams of England, they have not done big mistakes twice. At least if they have done a mistake and it's finishing out of the top 10 or 10 and above, at least they can actually see it, go back to the drawing board, and at least they come up with a performance. I believe Chelsea cannot finish 10th or beyond. In the collection they can make, minimally, we can have Chelsea in the top 5.
In the top 5?
Yeah.
Maybe top 5 sounds fair enough, because after all, they're not going to have any European establishments.
Yeah, definitely.
European football and the domestic cup competitions coming gradually during the course of the season. When you look at the size of Chelsea's squad, it sounds conceivable that they can achieve top 5 at the very bare minimum. Anyway, let's move on to Manchester United, because Manchester United is one of the biggest clubs in world football. And when it comes domestically, maybe the debates will be split between Liverpool and Manchester United on who is bigger. But in terms of global brand, I'd want to think the Red Devils have that sort of profile. Michael Carrick came in as an interim in January 2026, did a tremendous job guiding them to, back to the UEFA Champions League. What's been your assessment of Michael Carrick, and you think he's capable of delivering those big expectations at a club like Manchester United? Over to you.
Okay, when we talk about Michael Carrick, your mind will drive you to Sir Alex Ferguson, being the son to Ferguson, and we know what it means when you talk about Ferguson on Manchester United. I think he deserved the job. I think he can do better according to what he did last season, where Man United was and how the success to the team. I think I'll just wait for Mike Carrick, but I'll not. Still, as a football fan, I'll tell fans they should not put high their expectation. They should lower their expectations because this is Premier League, and we know how people behave.
Anything can happen.
Yes, and someone who came as an interim coach now is a coach, so you shouldn't ask so much.
Anyway, let's cross over to the Manchester United fan, the Rio Red Devil. I know at some point the temperatures last were as cold as they come in Manchester.
Yeah, definitely.
But Michael Carrick came and sort of came with the breath of fresh air within that Man United team.
Yeah.
Where do you see Manchester United next season with Michael Carrick, bearing in mind that his responsibilities next season are going to be beyond what he had on his plate last season in terms of juggling all competitions?
I personally believe Michael Carrick is doing so many wonders next season, and he's coming up with a major trophy. Very comfortable in that position. He's coming up with that position.
Must be a hot take.
Yeah, personally, ever since he came, you look at 16, 17 matches he did with a 60 plus percentage of winning, draws, and actually those that had to win actually had to win through the struggles. He was given the same material that was given to our previous manager. I won't mention, but he was given the same material. But I came to believe that coaching is not all about giving techniques.
You're not a toxic expert, as I mentioned there.
Personally, I would not want to talk about this because in past life it was hot as paper. So anyway, I would actually give him an edge. I'm comfortably saying this, that is one of the contenders
for the Premier League.
For the Premier League titles.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure that will be a hot take amongst non-Manchester United fans. But that goes to speak to the sort of level of expectations that is raised within Manchester United. In terms of rebuilding or strengthening this Manchester United side that had to go almost an entire campaign without Matthias Zenit in defense, we know that Lenio has yet to lead to the bidding. We know that Manel Ugarte has yet to click in that team, and then they've suddenly lost their best centre midfielder, Carlos Casemiro. How does that picture of a rebuild look like for you as a Manchester United fan? Who are some of the ideal players that you think they should be looking to bolster that midfield? Because last summer it was all about the attack.
Yeah, definitely. I think Manchester United had a big block of hindrances. It was a lot in that you couldn't actually make a rebuild from the external channels, that is buying players from different teams apart from the academy. You wouldn't do it in one transfer window. You wouldn't do it. I personally believe we didn't do bad in the last transfer. That is last year in the summer. The forward and the strikers they brought, they just went beyond the average. Then I think we should also just focus on one of the departments actually that beautify the football, and that is the midfield. If we can actually get 1, 2, or 3 midfielders,
just mention but a few. In terms of ideal options for you as a Manchester
ideal options,
yes.
I'm okay with Mateus Fernandes. I've seen him play, and he's a good one. He's a player you can actually mold. You mentor around football. Plus his talent.
And who better to mentor him than a former midfielder?
Definitely. Who do you trust to choose a midfielder apart from that great midfielder? Definitely.
Michael Carrick.
Yeah. So I think the rebuild might not actually be next season. For Manchester United to go back to the 2008 period. But for now, I believe Michael Adrian Khalid is going to give us the best of the midfield, and he's not looking at the profile of the players, the player power. He's actually looking at what is needed to play the right football. So if we get Matthias Fernandes plus any other midfielder, Anderson is around, I believe we shall actually move. We might not replace the exact Casemiro. We might not replace Casemiro exactly, but I think we shall modify with the players we shall have gotten to actually get the very good substance out of the midfield.
Okay, before I let you go for a second, there's an Anderson that is set to join Manchester United from Atlanta. Just a word or two about Anderson.
Yeah, he's good as a backup player. I don't think if you have Matheus Fernandes with the kind of football he plays, he's good, better than Anderson. But I believe at the age of Anderson, he can come up, fight for the numbers. He has the abilities to play, ball carrying abilities, recycling of possession, and at times he scores. He has a good shot, and actually, I believe he's going to be one of those players. He can fight for his numbers if he has a brain reset. He can fight for the numbers and be one of the people to start.
For a second there, I almost sold myself into thinking that you're describing somebody's husband at another different club. But Mildred, I know you're not, I know Manchester United may not be your cup of tea, but if there is one single midfielder you would recommend for Manchester United to go out in the transfer window and get, who would that midfielder be? It could be anyone that you think can improve that Manchester United midfield.
Who else? Enzo Fernandez. Of course, Enzo Fernandez.
In other words, you're willing to sacrifice. As a Chelsea fan, you're willing to sacrifice.
If you are to tell me that I should choose the best, because he's the best.
Well,
No one else.
we'll not learn so much of that. We'll cross over to Liverpool. But because our time is fast spent, we'll try to sort of squeeze it in. We'll start with Liverpool. Andoni Iraola. Last season he was at FC Bournemouth, having spent there 3 seasons. And he's one of those highly prized managers in terms of upcoming Spanish managers, about 44 years of age. And the 3 seasons he had been at FC Bournemouth, it was progress after progress in terms of where he finished on the league table, and he's also about the heavy metal football. Where do you see Liverpool finishing next season? Because last season they were the reigning champions, but they ended up finishing 5th on the Premier League table. It did not be pretty. So, new head coach in charge, Arne Slot is out. They're looking to bring in some players, but before they even bring in those players, where do you see Liverpool finishing next season with Andoni Iraola?
The truth is, Liverpool problem, their last season was Arne Slot and the system. I think the system didn't favor them. And this is the same team, the defending champion of the last league before the other season. So I think for this new coach, I see them in the top 5.
In the top 5?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I think Liverpool is going to perform. But because I think the problems actually Liverpool faced last season, it wasn't about quality of players. They had every machinery to do that job.
Yeah.
But I think they had issues with the dressing room. If you have Mohamed Salah, who I believe is a world-class player, actually going different directions with the manager, I believe he would actually grab a clique of players who are important at the club, then follow his ways. I believe that was one of the problem. But back to Andoni Iraola, how he lost players last season, but one, he lost players, very good players. Kakes in the middle of this last season lost Semenyo, the captain. He lost a lot of players, but actually he tried to do a rebuild and fixes that actually made Bournemouth to the level. That was I think the topmost level in performance. 7th, 6th.
They ended up finishing 6th.
Yeah.
And yet they had lost a good number of
good
players.
So I believe he's good at organizing football. And one thing I believe about Liverpool, unlike Manchester United, Chelsea, and in Spain, Madrid, Liverpool actually is very patient with managers. If Arne Slot went, I think there was really a big problem with Ancelotti. So I don't think Liverpool is going to give him that tight pressure. I know they will give him space to operate, and he knows football. And one thing, for the departure of Mohamed Salah, I think they have been left with players that are not branded themselves with big names at the biggest stage of football. So I believe the players that have actually taken seats after the departure of Mohamed Salah are manageable. They can be administered.
Interesting. Usually, managers that come in from mid-table teams to transition to big teams tend to sort of struggle with that adaptation to managing dressing rooms with big name players and big people. Do you see him finding any bit of struggle in there?
Yeah, I believe Mohamed Salah was one of the problems in that dressing room, and Van Dijk in the leader he is. I don't think he's going to find problems. I don't think, because first and foremost, he's not a big-headed coach. He's not. He has character, a simple one. I think it's easy to approach its character, unlike other coaches that we might have. So personally, I think he's approachable. The way he does with players, I had one of the players, that was Junior Krupe. He was actually giving sensational remarks about the coach on how he interacts with players, and for him personally, he just gave him a credit.
Me, do you agree with what Temperature says when he says that Mohamed Salah was one of the big-headed players in that Liverpool dressing room? Do you agree with this?
I don't think so. It's not true.
Okay. I mean, anyway, it is what it is. It's everyone with their opinion. But still at the big clubs, we talk about Chelsea, we talk about Man United, and subsequently Liverpool. But then there is a giant in Manchester City. We know that after a decade, Pep Guardiola has left the club, and the expectation in waiting is for Enzo Maresca to be named as his successor. Starting with him, Neil, given that you know Enzo Maresca from his days at Chelsea, and maybe any other days by extension, what do you make of the decision for Manchester City to go with Enzo Maresca? Do you think they are making the right decision, replacing Pep Guardiola with Enzo Maresca?
Yeah, I think they are making the right decision, being it is replacing his father, and we know what he can do. Because I'm one of the fans at Chelsea who are still having hope in him. It's unfortunate that he left the club, and I'm still crying for him. Yes, but I know he will do wonders at Manchester City. Yeah.
Temperature. Do you think Man City are making the right decision?
They made the right explanation of that deal. I think that's why they were actually comfortable to pay the 17 pounds. They were very comfortable. I think they just explored that deal very well. Who would actually replace Guardiola apart from Enzo Fernandez? Then the other thing, I see him as a success, and one of the people that are going to actually contend for the title. Maresca, he has one advantage. Man City has facilitated all its managers well, not financially, but I think they actually create an open environment for managers to work around City.
Yeah, empowered.
Yeah, definitely. Even those that weren't powerful before, they were actually very well facilitated. They actually performed well at Man City. They do good buys. At least a coach has a hand in who he wants on the pitch, and they would actually respect that. Then the other thing is the financial power. So if you have the money, you will actually buy so many things. You will have the world at hand.
They've just spent 112.
Yeah, definitely.
116.
Look at their first signing.
Yeah,
true.
And they have interest in Sandro Tonali, Enzo Fernandez.
Then the other thing, you would look at how Guardiola left Man City. He had actually tried to bring up the squad. When we mention the players he left and the situation he left them in, I think Maresca has a clear ground that has no blocks to start with. Yeah.
Speaking of the sort of ground and environment that Pep Guardiola leaves behind at Man City, I think there's no doubt of the quality of the players, but also in one of their most valuable players, in Rodrigo Hernandez Cascante. He's attracting interest from Real Madrid. We know that he has 1 year left to his current contract, and he has an offer on table. He's yet to put pen to paper. When it comes to, again, when a manager spends as long as Pep Guardiola spent at Man City, do you see or envision a point where maybe Rodrigo says, maybe Maresca is not the guy for me, I need to sign out of here? Do you envision it?
Yeah, I think Rodrigo Cascante should respect the 1 year remaining to his contract, because I think if he leaves Man City with the departure of Bernardo Silva, that's
like
that's actually a very, very, very hard thing to rebuild. That is the partnership you can't rebuild just in a few months. So I believe if you respect that 1 year remaining to his contract, financially it is favorable to him. He will sign I think a good sign-on fee.
As a free agent.
Yeah, definitely. So I feel for the betterment of the squad, he should stay at Man City that 1 year, because I think it's going to be a very, very fantastic pairing with Elliot Anderson.
Okay. And then in a few words, because I don't want Tottenham fans out there, few as they could be on the Ugandan soil, feel left out about Roberto Di Zerbi. He's coming, of course, they survived relegation. He's made a couple of signings, including the likes of John Paul Van Hecke from Brighton. They brought in Marco Senesi. They brought in Andy Robertson. They brought in Martin Dubravka from Burnley. That's the goalkeeper formerly also at Newcastle. And they have some midfield targets in there. In the likes of Mateus Fernandes, Sandro Tonali, these are their primary targets. Lucas Bergwijn just wants to leave. And it looks like Tottenham are trying to be very ambitious. In a word or two, where do you see Tottenham next?
Personally, I think with everything actually you've talked about, Tottenham has done them before. And we were actually asking ourselves, where is the problem coming from? So when you look at Mourinho, Pochettino with a good build-up up to the finals of Champions League, we thought Tottenham was actually coming to the top four, like Man City did in the early 2010, 2011, around there. We thought they were coming back. But now, I feel so not favored when I'm talking about Di Zerbi. He has had a good career. Now, wherever he has been, that is Brighton, talent identification, so good. He would actually build someone from scratch, then make him a proper footballer. When you go to Marseille, believed in Greenwood, where the whole world didn't believe in him, especially the female side, they never believed in him. Actually, they were cursing him. Definitely. So you would see him actually demoralized whenever he went. But he believed in him. Even when he had just came to Spurs, you would actually see the tantrums the fans threw at him. But he stood his point. So he believed in him. And he actually left good squads. So I believe Di Zerbi as a coach can perform. But still, my point might be the administration can fail the coach. Because I thought Danny Levy had left the club. But when you actually go and search about the hierarchy of Tottenham, you would see him as number 3, as the overseer. I still believe he can actually fail at the club because of the administration. But if the terms of contract are modified, for example, they told him, if Tottenham goes back to relegation, you won't be sacked, we shall actually stay with you. And they respected that. I actually got a point to note that maybe they turned tables around, they sat on their egos, and they had to look forward now. Yeah, so now I think he can perform, but if the administration stays the way they are, I still believe you can fail like the likes of Jose Mourinho, Pochettino, Antonio Conte, Nuno Espirito, and the rest. But he's a good coach, no doubt.
In the hierarchy, of course, they have a former Arsenal CEO in there called Vinay Vektish. He's one of the guys in charge in there. So, Milbit, without troubling you with the details of Tottenham Hotspurs, in the last 2 seasons, they've been fighting against relegation.
Yeah.
All mates, they managed to win the UEFA Europa League at the campaign before last. Where do you see them finish with Roberto Di Zerbi? And it's sort of when you believe that they can rise back to the top player, maybe to go back to the days of Mauricio Pochettino sort of at 2018, because in 2017, as your team Chelsea were winning the Premier League title, Tottenham Hotspurs were finishing the second behind them. Yeah. So where do you see them finish next season?
Honestly, I can't tell. I can't tell, but let us wait for this Sassy and see how it's going to do.
Okay. Anyways, a lot of people seem to be concerned about your other muted venture. They are reaching out. But anyways, we'll leave it at that. I want us to cross over to Real Madrid. And the reason that takes me to Real Madrid is why Real Madrid are the biggest football club. Whether you like to accept it or not, it's simply just what it is. Jose Mourinho is back at the Santiago Bernabeu. After 13 years, he was there between 2010 and 2013 before he returned to Chelsea, where you're most familiar with him. And he comes to Real Madrid at a time when they are in a bit of a turbulent period. 2 seasons without any piece of silverware. We've had players fighting in the dressing room. That's Fede Valverde and Tchouaméni, and everything bad that has surrounded Real Madrid. To start with you, Mil, I know that you're Real Madrid, Chelsea, somewhere certain.
Yeah.
What do you make of Jose Mourinho? Is he still good enough to be at a club like Real Madrid?
100%. Don't forget, he's my coach of all times.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know he's a winning coach. Yeah, the special one. And we all know that he's a winning coach as well. And on a club like Madrid, a winning club as well. That was a very great move to Real Madrid. And again, we've seen Real Madrid, they have had issues of the dressing room. And we know Mourinho is good at that. Yeah, you can't joke with Mourinho. And he doesn't care who are you. You understand? So I think he's the right coach for Real Madrid right now, according to what they are facing right now. And I think he's going to do a great job on Real Madrid. Trust me or not, we are having that lead.
Okay. Wow.
Next season.
That's an interesting thing. We're hoping for the best. I'm a Real Madrid fan, by the way.
Oh, that's nice.
As it goes to you, temperature, they've already signed a couple of players. The likes of Denzel Dumfries, Bernardo Silva have come in. Ibrahim Konate is joining them as a free agent from Liverpool, and Marco Cucurella.
Yeah.
Commiserations, Chelsea fans. So, in sort of looking into that, the new players that are coming in, obviously they want to make a marquee signing, but we don't know yet who that is going to be. What do you see Real Madrid next season with Jose Mourinho?
One, I would actually put it up that I see them winning the Liga trophy. Very confident about that.
Nice.
How I love how Mourinho is signing.
Are you guys forgetting Hansi Flick is a
Hansi Flick is good, but the football actually Barcelona had to play in the La Liga last season. It was only because Madrid was actually on a poor note.
And don't forget, it's good competing with who? This is Mourinho.
Definitely. So I think it's a perfect signing to first of all bring Mourinho at Real Madrid. Secondly, Madrid needs nothing apart from a coach who is a good administrator of human character. They have talent, they have great players. Look at the likes of Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Jude Bellingham. So I believe
now they have Mark.
And the signings they have made actually, they are the Mourinho signing we do actually. When you look at him coming to Chelsea. So I personally believe Madrid did need a tactical coach. They needed a good administrator of human character who would actually make a player sit on their egos. I've actually came to know that he's actually sending players who are the World Cup. He has already started. Before I think of actually coming as the official, sitting in the official seat of the managerial duty, the guy has started actually doing his work. It's a rumor, but I believe he did. Because I know him, he told Vinicius Junior, there's no one who is above the coach. No one is bigger than the team. So I personally believe he was the person they needed. They might not dwell with him for so long, but for fixation purposes or for fixing purposes, they will have him. I think Madrid is going to do better than the previous 4 seasons.
He has zero history of being anywhere for so long.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But you mentioned some interesting facts when it comes to turning egos and all that. But we know that the newly re-elected president, Florentino Perez, said that they are going to get a marquee sign. Looking around, who do you think that marquee sign should be for Real Madrid when you assess the market vis-a-vis what they need in their squad? What do you think that marquee signing should be for Real?
Yeah, when we reflect at what Madrid has been doing, they actually utilize already made product. They never mentor.
There's a reason that's why they
Yeah, definitely. So if we are to look around, who else apart from Olise? I believe that combination, if it actually arrives at the Santiago Bernabeu, they will have it.
Mbappe,
Yeah, when you look at that, I think for the facts about the midfield, we talked about Man City. You know, when Rodrigo had to actually have interest in Madrid, if they can get such a player, I'll be very comfortable with their winning of everything.
That would be quite tricky.
Yeah.
Yes. Any player that you want to see at Real Madrid or join Real Madrid out there as a Real Madrid fan? Of course, it can be wishful.
Of course, I know one is going to join. That is Enzo Fernandez.
Enzo Fernandez in every statement.
Yeah, he has to be there.
This love affair is an explanation.
Yeah, but I again think if they would actually deprecate the likes of Luka Modric with the names of Vitinha,
It's
I
something
would
that
be comfortable with
they
that.
attempted to do to little success in bringing in players the likes of Fede Valverde, Tchouaméni, Camavinga coming in.
Yeah, right.
Midfield. Of course, they battling with Dani Ceballos, who of course could end up at Ajax. We do not know with absolute certainty, but that's where speculation is leading to. But anyways, we'll leave the club conversation at that and cross over to the World Cup, because the World Cup is the hot cake at the moment.
Right.
It's are you enjoying the World Cup for starters?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
I think
We are enjoying.
this is one of the World Cups I've enjoyed. It was 2018, but now it is this one. Irrespective of the sayings that are going around, I'm enjoying the USA 2026. Yeah.
Without fear of anything that we are going to try and guess what your age is. What is the first World Cup you remember watching?
Me? That was 2022. That I watched before, but 2022, I was understanding everything in the World Cup.
Okay. In other words, she was too young to understand other World Cups.
No,
Over
yeah.
to you, Teko.
2002 I watched, and I actually came up with names of
Ladies,
Roberto Carlos.
old enough.
I'm not old enough. I think I was around 4 years, but at least I would pick 2 names or 3 in the World Cup. That was Thierry Henry, Roberto Carlos, Ronaldo, of course, with his iconic hairstyle, and I think Marcos. Yeah, Marcos in the poles of Brazil. I think they are the names I picked out of that. That's when I first watched the World Cup.
So, to the best of your recollection, it's the 2022 World Cup.
Yes.
And any highlight you remember from that edition of the World Cup?
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm going to spot that it's going to be the last one.
No. It's a bit emotional, but the finals between Argentina and France, I remember I betted money. That money was supposed to be for my baby's shopping. By then I was pregnant. By then I was pregnant. Then I was given money to go and do shopping, expecting mothers. I went, I put a bet because I have this hatred on the goat. Yeah, then I was like, France is taking this, my dear, from the 9 minutes to extra time to penalties. Before you know, I was almost dead.
You can imagine somebody in the Avenue losing money and taking
Then
interest.
the next day I woke up on the hospital.
The baby eventually gets their shopping. Oh, that is a
So
story.
that is a story for another day.
Over to you, Chelsea. Of course, you mentioned that you remember the 2001, 2002 World Cup. Any other World Cup before this one that is most memorable to you in every sense of it, in terms of football or the organization of it, anything like that?
Yeah, I think 2010.
Mm.
That's when I actually became active about football
Mm.
at the World Cup stage.
Mm.
Yeah, because that one I have one game
Mm.
that is the German England
Mm.
when actually
Was it 4-1?
4-1 when Frank James Lampard actually scored that goal.
That goal
And
did
you
not
know, it
stand.
was cancelled, it didn't stand, but it was
There was no
a
goal
score.
line technique.
Yeah, definitely. Then the one time I actually became so proud of being an African,
Mm.
the sound of
The vuvuzelas.
the vuvuzelas, then that
So-
one goal from Shabalala.
Mm.
I think it was that sound
Mm.
that actually made me so proud
Mm.
that every time when you get to hear the commentary,
Mm.
it was so good. But I also remember the iconic performances from Wesley Schneider, where my England actually had to perform, but they didn't perform.
Mm.
When they actually failed to call Ronaldinho at that stage. So there was a lot of mismatches.
Mm.
But again, I just have a feeling, a good feeling about that World Cup. Because trust me, yeah, it's when I actually started understanding football so well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Every World Cup year or episode comes with a track of its own. Any favorite World Cup song?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
from Shakira.
Just that, right?
Samina, mina, waka,
I think
waka.
that was 2010 as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't remember the title.
Waving flag.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, waving flag.
Yeah,
And that was my everything.
Interesting.
Yeah, we sang it everywhere. We never knew the lyrics,
Mm.
but we sang it everywhere. It was a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
They often say history does repeat itself. And indeed, this time around, this is repeating itself in perhaps a little bit of a different fashion because USA are one of the hosts of the World Cup. They did host it in 1994 when it was still a 2014 edition.
Yeah.
This time around, it's double that number. And it's being hosted by 3 countries for the first time in Canada and Mexico, in addition to the USA. So far, what have you made of the World Cup? Is it fun? What's been your highlights from this World Cup so far? Maybe to start with.
Honestly, I think this, how can I even say it? Is talent.
The time.
Yeah, the talent from African teams. Yeah, I think African teams are more talented this time around. They are doing good. Yes.
Do you believe Africans are closing the gap on Europe when it comes to competing at that level?
Yes, they are trying to close the gap this time around. This edition, honestly, is for Africans. They have done good according. Yeah.
Because from your favorite edition, the 2020,
Yeah.
that's when we had an African team for the first time make it to the semi-final.
Exactly.
You see a repeat of that?
Yeah, of course. I'm seeing one team is going to do wonders. The Morocco.
The Moroccans.
Yeah.
They're up against Netherlands in the round of 32.
They can defeat them 100%.
We will get to that point in a bit.
Yes.
Over to you, Temperature. Your highlights from the World Cup thus far.
Yeah, I'm okay with this World Cup. It has been a good one. It has actually exceeded my expectations. The politics that came around before the start of the game were actually very dirty, but I think I'm having a good game. The numbers are very, very huge at the stadiums. I'm impressed by that because I think being that 1994 was one of the World Cup that was most watched across the globe. I believe this one actually is going to be the most watched. Attended to in the fields and everything. Highlights, that is so far I'm seeing African countries out of 10, we are at least making a good number. Past half that actually going to the knockout stages.
Ivory Coast being one of those.
Ivory Coast, South Africa, out of nowhere. We expected South Africa not to go anywhere. The world that was against them. But I know one person, that is Yasin, that was in for South Africa.
Okay.
He wasn't alone, by the way. For purposes of highlighting that one, I remember we were at the Vibe House for the opening game of the tournament. And I was rooting for South Africa.
Yeah, true.
And then
I saw that
occurred to me that a lot of people were against South Africa because of the xenophobic things that are going on down there. So maybe that, but there's a team that is being supported by a mutual friend of ours that gave South Africa the chance against all odds. Czech Republic.
Yeah, Czech Republic. Yeah, definitely. I'm actually very surprised. It is a surprise for me that South Africa is making it through to the round of 32. But the rest, I'm much convinced on how they actually express themselves on the pitch. In terms of player power, other teams actually might supersede. But how these African coaches organize the boys to play at the grounds, it is so fabulous. When you look at Morocco, from a little period of time of making the evaluation of the tournament before kickstarting, Ayub Boad was nowhere. He was actually captaining first under 19. He came and put a show. When you look at Nail El Ainawi, he's actually playing. Definitely, he's doing well. How about Sofiane Amrabat? When he played the last game, he was doing so well. So personally, I believe African coaches are actually taking a good step in the coaching career. When you look at Egypt, I understand Mo Salah has not had an AFCON trophy, but at least they almost topped the group.
And it's not for Belgium.
And the game they played against Belgium, it was as if Belgium was an African team trying to play against a European team, Egypt. Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I believe Africans are doing well, and surprisingly, some of them are homemade coaches. That is the
likes of MS5,
definitely.
Papa Thiaw
with Senegal.
So there's quite a number of those. Speaking, for me, one of the biggest surprises or highlights from the World Cup thus far was that goalless draw between Cape Verde and Spain, because Spain are one of those countries that many people think is one of the favorites to win. So, and yet that they did goals. But speaking of more in the context of the World Cup, today I was catching in on a conversation where somebody was revealing the word that the USA population is so detached from football that some people did not know that their country was actually being represented.
I saw that.
And then somebody said they met a fan at one of the games, and they were there because at one point, about 15 or 20 years ago, they had a Ghanaian mate for house help. So they were there to support Ghana.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I saw also an incident, Speed, Aisha Speed.
Yes.
Why was with one of the basketball players? He was like, can you do you know how many players that are supposed to be in the football field? Guy never didn't knew anything. Guy never knew something about football. Very many cases actually. You would actually go around the camps. Just imagine we are in Uganda, like the way we are going to host the 2027 AFCON, and actually Senegal is camping somewhere around Buziga, and we know that people don't know what goes on in the camps of these teams. They are actually having their own life, and I think it's a disappointment. And actually, they have revealed that most of the people that are in these stadiums, they're actually foreigners. I thought they are Americans. They are foreigners. So,
yeah, because those guys, by the have a serving culture, There's a fan apparently from Scotland who, for the last 3 years, had been saving because he believed that Scotland were going to make it to the World Cup. So and they prepared themselves to go that far. Anyways, staying with the African continent, of course, we've seen some disappointing results from the likes of Tunisia, Liverpool losing to Sweden, losing to, of course, subsequently the Dutch and Japan, I think.
Right, yeah,
Yes.
Japan.
But we'll focus ourselves more on the positives. We mentioned South Africa advancing. We mentioned Ivory Coast advancing, Egypt, Morocco, India. We know that Senegal, with their 5-0 victory against Iraq, it gives them an opportunity, maybe, just maybe, to qualify as one of the 3rd best teams.
Yes.
Maybe, to start with you, which one of those countries that have already advanced to that stage do you think is capable of achieving greater heights in the tournament?
According to I told you Morocco.
Yes.
But yes, I told you Morocco. Then Ivory Coast. I think Ivory Coast is doing good. And I've seen South Africa. The way South Africa is behaving, it's a surprise to me as well. So I'm tipping those 3 teams. Yeah.
At the round of 32, they are playing one of the co-hosts in Canada. That's for South Africa.
Yeah,
and, the likes of Botswana will be returning from that suspension. When is going to be also coming. Do you have hopes for South Africa as well?
Yeah, I'm actually sitting in a comfortable position to make it go through the round of 32, the round of 16.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm much confident with how Canada has been playing. Apart from the 6, the fullest of goals that actually has to definitely. I think they have not played good football, and South Africans are physical and they have figures that actually know how to play ball. When you look at Makowena, that free kick, the goal he scored at Czech Republic, was it Makowena? It was a penalty.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't watch that game, but he scored against Czech Republic, and actually they maintained the win. So South Africa coming in through.
They won against South Korea.
So they won against South Korea, and they actually maintained the ball. They just didn't play bad.
I think one of my standout players for South Africa has been Mbokazi, the central defender, left-footed guy. Really been doing well. Also Modao and Modiba have been good. I've been disappointed in the likes of Lyle Foster, but it is what it is. So unfortunately for Canada, they suffered a bad injury for Ismail Kone. He suffered that big break. Speaking of the World Cup, still Brazil, somehow they came with their pedigree, of course, as usual, 5-time champions. But not so many people gave them a chance.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you support Brazil.
Yes.
Tell me, what have you made of Brazil and where they are at the round of 32? Do you think they will go past Japan? What do you think about it?
The truth is, by the time this tournament started, we underrated Brazil according to the problems we had as Brazilians. So if you look in the squad of Brazil with young talents, if you look at by then our face was Neymar, and this is the player with injuries and all that. Having a coach like Ancelotti, it was a plus for us as well. We know what he can do. We wanted a player like Vini to come and lift up the club, which is good, is doing it. So I think the way they are behaving right now, they will go beyond that, and I wish my team the best. I can see they can do it. I'm seeing Brazil on semi-finals. Don't take it as a joke. I'm serious about that. Yes.
It gives me a certain level of encouragement, given that I'm not in the Brazil. But to give it to you temperature, for the first time, Brazil are having a European coach, the experienced Carlo Ancelotti. Now, there's been a trending clip of his son, David. Is it David Ancelotti or something, whatever his second name is, appearing to be disappointed at a time when they were bringing on Neymar Santos Jr. Without dwelling so much on that particular clip, what do you make of this Brazil side? With Cunha looking so bad, a reborn player, they've suffered that injury to Rafinha, a hamstring injury, I think, or a muscular injury. So, what do you make of Brazil?
Yeah, first and foremost, to this next stage, it's really a tough game. They are facing one of the quick transiting teams that can have you experience 4 formations in a single game. I think it's a tough game for Brazil, but the edge actually is being drawn and given to Brazil because of the coach. Don Carlo or Carlo Ancelotti is a good coach. We've actually found it very okay with him sitting in a foreign country. He has actually swept away the Jenga kind of football from Brazil, and now these people are playing direct football. Look at how Vinicius is recycling possession in the third half. In the final third of the pitch, he actually got a chance and scored last time. Instead of you playing Igor Thiago, who is kind of a fluid number 9, you would actually play Matthias Cunha, who can rotate around the front line. So I believe the kind of football Ancelotti is playing is the reason why Brazil is Brazil now. So I personally believe they are going there, and they're going to go through the round of 32, and they will beat Japan.
If you had any reservation about Brazil, and to you as a fan, any reservation about Brazil, where you think it's maybe a weak spot, where do you think that would possibly lie with this Brazil side? If you think they have any weakness in that, where do you think that weakness is?
Honestly, according to the games I've watched, they have been behaving well in all positions. I think it was the right decision, Neymar, to come in. I want to see Thiago at the pitch also. That's all.
For those of you that
I've not spotted any.
For those of you that care,
What you call?
really disappointed when Don Carlo Ancelotti decided to sacrifice
João Pedro
at, of course, in favor of some other players that she did not deem worthy of being at the national team. She will not go in that conversation. We've talked a lot about Africa, but we know that Morocco, one of those teams that we have hopes in. Continuing with Morocco, we're discussing Morocco and the Netherlands. I was saying Netherlands is one of those teams that are very talented, but have been very unlucky with the World Cup because they've never won it. They've played and lost about 3 finals. So they come up against one of Africa's, favorites in Morocco. And do you think Morocco still have a chance, or you see Netherlands with all their talent, going through?
I think, personally, Netherlands has found its match in the names of Morocco. But I think for the player power or the player profile, Netherlands has gotten it with a good record. With a good record, maybe it has taken a good period of time without actually being beaten. Same to this very tournament. They have not lost any single match. But when you look at how Morocco is playing, I actually believe Morocco is a perfect match for Netherlands. It's a tough game to decide and to predict who will win it, but how actually Morocco has come to this World Cup, the previous one, they are very organized, and actually the attitude and the mentality they play with, I guess they can actually go down to beat Netherlands, or it can end in a draw, and actually Morocco qualifies in a penalty shootout.
Anyway, the conversation about the FIFA World Cup is that of the relationship between the bees and honey. So we can have it the entire day, but because our time is fast spent, you will allow us to wrap this episode here and look to catch up perhaps next time for an extended conversation. But before we wrap it up, I want my special guests to give their parting shots and say their goodbyes. Milby, in a minute.
Thank you for having us here on Football Tribe UG. I would like to say my greetings to some of our friends. First of all, I will send to Brazil fans first. We're gonna wish on finals. Just know you're winning this Brazil. Yes, that's all.
Thank you very much, Football Tribe UG, for the platform. I'm grateful to be part of the discussants, people who would actually make themselves here and talk words of substance and sense. I'm grateful. Shout out to all our viewers. I urge you to go up actually and subscribe to Football Tribe UG YouTube channel at Football Tribe UG, Instagram, X, and TikTok. All this information we've discussed is there at in details. So personally, I send shout outs to all viewers because actually they make us exist and actually progress. Thank you very much.
If we're lucky enough, on our next episode, we could be blessed to have Nando Global Sports and maybe Mr. Vibeson giving us the vibe stories in the footballing sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise, it's been a pleasure. Until next time. Bye-bye.